How do you feel about the word soulmate? What's your when I say soulmate, do we all have 8, or are soulmates created, or how? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
The first thing that comes to my mind is that everybody has lots of beliefs about this, and a lot of them are wrong.
Okay.
I'm not saying
did you do your research?
I've done so much soulmate research.
Okay, let's hear.
And I call, rabbis and rebbitzins and leaders and people who also know about these things, and sometimes I get these very vague answers. They're like, well, we don't really know. So I'm a logical person. So it goes like this. Number 1, you can only have one soulmate at a time.
At a time, I would hope
At a time, okay? Now, back in the days of the Torah,
Right.
apparently you were able to have more than one soulmate, but only for men, but not for women, but we don't live in those times. Modern day, you can have one soulmate at a time. Number 2, if the way you make a soulmate, you get married. So we decide to get married, yay, now we're soulmates. In that moment, poof, it's arranged, we're soulmates. I picked you, we're soulmates. I love you, we're soulmates. I don't love you, we're soulmates. It doesn't matter. You get married, that's your person, that's your soulmate. You get divorced, your soulmate, you disconnect, no problem. You're free to reconnect with a new soul. A person passes away, your soulmate is not in this world anymore, you're free to connect with a new soulmate. How many soulmates can you get? How many can you have? I don't know. How many times do you want to get married? You can have as many as you could get married with.
Right.
I mean, in theory, you could have 1,000. If you get married and divorced every single day, you could have a new one every single day, but it's not really how it works. Most people only go through about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and on the occasion 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. But I don't think...
Have you ever met anyone that had 8 soulmates?
I've heard about somebody who's been married 8 times, but only once. And the highest number is usually around 4-ish.
So getting married to someone makes them your soulmate.
Is that your definition?
That's how else do you?
No, because
because before that you only have a potential soulmate. In this world, I'm not talking about the spiritual world alone. We're living in this world. So in this world, you have lots of potential soulmates. Everybody in this entire world is your potential soulmate. If you date them, oh, you're my potential soulmate. Are you my soulmate? Oh, I feel like you're my soulmate. That's great. That's a feeling. If you want to make it happen in this world, the action. This is a world of actions. The way you make soulmates is to get married. That's when the binding of the souls happen. So feeling like a soulmate is nice, that's a feeling, but it didn't come with an action. The action is that we got married. We bound our souls and our bodies together. I'm for you, you for me. Ani l'dodi v'dodi li. That's how it works. That's the only way that I know that soulmates exist.
Right.
I hear other people talk about it
I've
casually.
heard other things, like for example, there's bashert and a zivug. Like you could marry someone, that's your bashert, and let's say your definition of soulmate, but maybe your zivug, like the person you were really meant to, well, I guess whoever you're married to, that's who you're meant to be with.
Correct.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand because I dig into this with anybody who's willing to have a conversation with me. This is what I hyper focus on.
Well,
and
if
I'm
someone
trying
got
to
divorced, were they their soulmate?
Yes.
Was that their soulmate?
Yes.
No, but then they married someone else and then they felt like, oh, this was my soulmate.
But that's a feeling. This world exists on actions. When I bound my soul with you and
Once
I got
you
married,
do it, that's your soulmate.
That's your soulmate. But then you can
Do you know what? That's a very good approach because it gets you into, this is who I married, this is
that's
my soulmate.
person.
Yeah,
It
you're all
is.
in.
Yeah.
You're all in.
No, and in that moment, that is the right decision for you in the right time, and that's exactly what God wanted. If God wanted it differently, God runs this world. I'm pretty sure God could have made you marry a different human being. So you can plug in, you can marry your potential soulmate, you can marry them, now they are your soulmate. Now you disconnected, it didn't work, no problem. You are a free soul, like, free radicals in the body. Now we have free souls in the world. You can go connect and marry somebody else. You can date somebody and they can be your potential soulmate. You can feel connected. You can want them to be your soulmate. But to me, they're not your soulmate if you're not married to them.
If you're not closing the deal.
If you don't, that's it. Shidduchim, right? The last job is the closer.
Right.
If you're not a closer, if you don't close the deal, you're just daters. You're not soulmates.
But we've been talking about a soulmate in regard to this is my better, like this is who I feel.
So better half, it's my other half, and my other half might be better, might be worse, might be nicer, might be meaner, might be perfect, might be terrible. I don't know.
Right.
But if I marry them, they're mine.
So you're making soulmate a very practical term.
It's a choice, meaning it's a choice.
But you know what I'm saying?
choosing.
Soul is very spiritual.
Soul is very spiritual,
Yeah.
but in this world, we're bodies and souls.
Yeah.
And so we have to bind the two together.
Yes.
That happens through marriage.
Yeah, I guess I mean to say people look at soulmate, when they think of that, they think of romantic.
Yes.
I feel like this
Yes, I
clicks.
feel like this is my person. I've had people tell me, we dated, we were soulmates, but it didn't work out in the end. I said, no, you were potential soulmates that didn't work out in the end, but you weren't soulmates. If you were soulmates, you would have been married, but you didn't. So you're not, and that's okay. But
So you're redefining soulmate for us.
I am. I'm going to write a whole.
love it.
I'm
Yes,
gonna write
I
a
love
whole
it.
book
I think
it's
on
great.
it. I'm writing a book on soulmates. I know the title in my head. I have
What's
it.
the title?
The Soulmate Bible.
Nice.
Nobody else is taking it. It's mine.
That's right. She just claimed it right here, right now.
Yes, no, the Soulmate Bible. I want to give over what my understanding is from all of my research and redefine and relook at things from the way that it really happens in the world. Take it from this spiritual into
Right.
the practical, but combine the two of them. Because it's not just a practical concept and it's not just a spiritual concept. It's something that we have to mark in time in this world, and that binds us spiritually as well.
Yeah, I think it needs to be redefined. And I think the question of how do I find my soulmate needs to be changed to, well, wait a minute, what is a soulmate? Like, let me
Right.
understand what a soulmate is
Right.
before I start to get all these Hollywood ideas of what it might be.
Right.
And that's why maybe there is a shidduch crisis. Maybe that's part of the reason.
Is that we need to define?
We don't know, maybe.
I'd love to redefine it, and I'm not bought into that there's a shidduch crisis. I
Okay.
think that we have a block in our understanding, and if we would understand things, there's not a crisis in the world. The crisis is maybe that people are not choosing to get married early enough, and that's not a Jewish problem, that's not a religious problem, that's a worldwide problem right now. It's one of the things I would like to solve and go a little bit back in time and say, yes, getting married younger is easier for people. It builds healthier families, healthier communities, and helps us gracefully get through life. And it's a smarter system. And so I want to bring back the days of, I don't think that we're going to be able to hit teens in the modern world, but let's talk about at least somewhere in the 20s. You need to be married in your 20s. You should make it your priority. Get your job, whatever. Fine. You will find your person. That should be the number one thing on your radar. And then the job and the other things, not when I have the money and when I have the job, I'll find my person. I will find my person. And because I have my person, I'll be an even better person. And
Right.
the job that I can get and what I can accomplish in the world can be even greater with that person by my side.
Yes, I found the experience of matchmaking really enlightening, because I grew up in a world where we got married young, we get married young, and you wonder, oh, what would it be like to have all this time on your own to find yourself and then get married?
Right.
And then you realize, it's a nice thing to actually grow together, because then I watch people later in their 30s and 40s, and they may have had their 20s, but they're already set in their ways, and they're a bit more panicked, and they feel rushed and stressed that they're not married, and that can be hard.
And you can do it in the reverse order. You can have your family, you can build your family. I know a woman who did this, and by about 42, her children were already, late teens, getting ready to get out of the house. By 45, everybody was out of the house, and she was having her, second phase of life, and she was having the time of her life. And the 40s I'm in my mid 40s. They're fantastic.
Right,
yeah.
So go have kids when you have the energy and all of that stuff. And then
you still have the energy.
And now you still have the energy, and go do things and change the world and go enjoy.
I think even more than that, I think you touched on something so crucial, and that is God's role in the picture. Because you can think that you have everything under control. Like, okay, I'm going to get my career going in my 20s, then I'll get married in my late 20s, and then I'll have kids in my 30s. And then things don't really often go as planned.
Right.
And when you remove God from the picture, then sometimes God will remove himself from the picture.
Right.
That's the whole concept of bitachon, is having full trust that everything is as it should be. So we really ultimately don't have control.
Right.
So it's nice to have these sort of, I don't know if they're ground rules, but maybe a Torah perspective on how to live life.